Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. This is the daily update of whatever happens in Ukraine between the Russians and the rest. And I used two articles, one coming from a Ukrainian source, the other one coming from a Russian source. Some information overlaps, some is like what's going on here, you say this, but those don't mention it. Anyway, the Ukrainians bring an update every day, 2 times a day. Once at 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock a.m. Kiev time, the other time at about 8 p.m. So this is their 8 p.m. And the Russians are updating theirs during the day. The Russian source has a map, and it has different bullets on it and you can access, and they tell you whatever happened over there, what the developments were. So let's get going with this article coming from the Ukrainian side, from Ukrinform. So this is from 7:39 p.m. on the 17th of February 2023. Air Force launches 5 strikes on invaders, hits anti-aircraft missile system. So during the day, the Armed Forces of Ukraine launched 5 strikes on the personnel and military equipment clusters of the Russian invaders and hit the location of an anti-aircraft missile system. This is stated in a report of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine as of 1800, which is 6 o'clock p.m., February 17th, published on Facebook. According to General Staff data, the aggressor, which is the Russians, launched 6 missile attacks on the civilian infrastructure of Kupiansk-Kharkiv region during the day. Now, I'm going to show you the map so we know what we're talking about. So this is the Russian side, but the map is the same. You can imagine that, right? So this is where you have this little like brick color here, a red color kind of, I don't even know what it is, brown. I don't know. This is where the Russians, whatever they have occupied already. And here is the Kharkiv, and here is where this first paragraph is talking about Kupiansk in Kharkiv region. So they start from here going down to Luhansk, Donetsk, Oblast, Zaporozhye, Kherson, and sometimes in Crimean Peninsula. Sometimes they talk about Sumy and Chernihiv. But this is the Russian terminology of the words, the way they call it. For instance, you have here Artemovsk. Artemovsk is Russian for Bakhmut. So anyway, I have to identify which and which. So here they're talking about this area here in the first paragraph. According to General Staff, the aggressor launched 6 missile attacks on the civilian infrastructure of Kupiansk, Kharkiv region during the day. 3 private houses and 1 apartment block was damaged, of course. In addition, why am I saying of course? Because the Ukrainians each and every time let us know what civilian infrastructure was damaged, but they do not tell us anything about the Russians being successful in any military strikes, like hitting any Ukrainian clusters or weapons, and for obvious reasons. But they will always mention this, that their houses, civilians were hit and so on. So the enemy launched a total of 10 airstrikes and more than 10 MLRS attacks. The enemy focused its main efforts on conducting offensive operations in Kupiansk and Liman, Bakhmut, Avdiivka, and Shakhtarsk directions. All those are right here. From here, Liman is right here. From here, going down here to Artemovsk, as I said, is Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Novopavlivka, and this area right here. This is where the Russians are conducting their military offensive. The invaders suffer significant manpower losses. And Volyn, Policia, Sevastopol, and Slobozhavchina directions, the enemy continues to keep certain units in the areas bordering Ukraine, but no offensive groups have been detected. The aggressor does not stop mortar and artillery shelling of the positions of Ukrainian troops and the settlements along the state border of Ukraine. During the day, areas of Kolos in Chernihiv region. Now, Chernihiv is the north side right here. Chernigov by the Russians, Chernihiv right here. So usually in Chernihiv, in Sumy, this is where the Russians, shell with mortars and artillery and so on. They don't have any personnel attacking here, no offensive in these ones. But from time to time, they keep them busy here. So during the day, areas of Kolos and Chernihiv in Chernihiv region, and about 20 settlements here, I'm exaggerating, in Kharkiv region came under enemy fire. So they jumped from here to Kharkiv here. Now here the blue things here, there are attacks that the Ukrainians conducted in Belgorod, Russia, and if you push on them right there, it said Ustinka, Belgorod region. Belgorod governor reported that the village came under fire, no one was injured. The shells hit the windows, facades and fences of 4 residential buildings. A power transmission line and a gas pipeline was damaged. Again, so these guys are talking about the same, infrastructure hits. And this is another village where they say that they came under fire. The strike damaged a house and a warehouse of an agriculture enterprise. A man was injured. He suffered a slight concussion. So let's go back to the Ukrainian side, and we're going to move south in Kupiansk and Liman direction. That is going south here. We go like this. Let's see if it works. Yeah, Liman right here. So this is the area where these guys are talking about. And if I go over here, Liman, forces of the Zapad group in the course of active combat operations destroyed UAF troops. So that's Ukrainian armed forces troops using artillery and airstrikes. You see that AK-47s over there? That's what they mean. So that's where the Ukrainians are going to tell us that in Kupiansk and Liman directions, the enemy shelled the settlements of in Luhansk region. Luhansk went already south a little bit, in Donetsk region. So now they're talking about the whole thing here. All right, this is Luhansk is right here, Donetsk is right here. So the Ukrainians already down here, went down here with their reporting, and I'm going to talk about this town right here, which is Bakhmut. No, that's one. What am I talking about? Right here, Artemovsk. So Artemovsk, Donetsk, which is the hottest spot in this war at the moment. Fierce fighting is taking place on the city's outskirts. Earlier, Igor Kimakovsky, advisor to the DPR's interim head, said the Russian forces have taken all the neighboring heights. This was the same thing that they said yesterday, the same thing, but here the date is today. So let's go back to the Ukrainians, see what they say. In Bakhmut, the town that I was just mentioning, but the Russian term for it, more than 15 settlements were shelled. In particular, Bakhmut, Ivansivske, New York, in Donetsk region. The enemy also launched an airstrike in the area of Berkivka. Nothing about any fighting in the city of Bakhmut that you just mentioned here, but no details. You don't give details when you lose. In Avdiivka and Shakhtarsk direction, that's going down south a little bit from Bakhmut, 17 settlements were struck, including Avdiivka, Vodyane, Vesele, and about, Vuhledar, and the Russians are calling Vuhledar differently, and in Donetsk region. So let's see what this guy is saying about Vuhledar, which the Russians call Ugledar, right here. And where you see this black AK-47s here, these are where the Russians claim direct clashes between fighters, not only, shelling and mortars and something like this occur. So let's see in Vuhledar. So fighting is taking place on the city outskirts. Forces of the Vostok group hit Ukraine Air Forces units using artillery and air strikes. They destroyed a Ukrainian Air Force ammunition depot of the 72nd Separate Mechanized Brigade. And these are probably either the Russians destroyed drones, Ukrainian drones, or attempted hits from the Ukrainians. Let's see in the Donetsk what they did. Ukrainian forces fired 65 shells at the city. Let's say here, Gorlovka. What do you have over there? Ukrainian forces fired 5 shells at the city. These guys, Ukrainian forces fired 3 HIMARS rockets at the city. So, and this, I think Russian air defenses shot down a Ukrainian drone in Alexandrovka. Let's go back to the Ukrainians. In Zaporozhye direction, so we'll move south of Donetsk. So this is Donetsk, this is Zaporozhye. Let's see how are you going to cooperate. All right, it's very sensitive, this little Russian thing here. Zaporozhye is this area right here, south of Donetsk. And Zaporozhye is the town over there, and they're fighting to get to it. This, where you see all this, like that's the border that I think the Russians want to achieve. This is the oblast border, like you have in the United States counties. So here we have like this. So this is probably where they want to reach, even though it's easier to defend on the Dnieper River here than over there. But hey, they know best, right? So let's say what the Ukrainians are saying. In Zaporozhye direction, the area of 20 settlements, including blah, 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 were hit. The enemy launched airstrikes on the area of Mala, Tokmachka, and Novodanilivka. In Kherson direction, this is the most southern if you exclude Crimea. This is Crimean Peninsula right here, and this is the Kherson. The city of Kherson is right here. Let's see what the Russians are saying. No, where is the Kherson? I got it wrong right here. Russian forces struck a UAF ammunition depot in Kherson. And the Ukrainians say, in Kherson direction, Kherson city and its suburbs, as well as the areas of more than 25 settlements, including came under artillery fire. So, this is all under artillery fire. But if you look at the map, all these blue things are Ukrainians' hits on Russian now territory. So I don't see those 20 attacks that these guys say here in Kherson direction. 25 settlements. I didn't see that reported by Russians. They show only Kherson and Shirokaya Balka. Russian artillery units destroyed a 2S-1 Gvoditska self-propelled howitzer along with ammunition. 5 UAF soldiers were killed. And all these things, let's see what they are, what Ukrainians did here. Ukrainian forces shelled civilian infrastructure in the village Bababab. Here, Ukrainian forces shelled civilian infrastructure Bababab. So it's just, not just, but you know what I mean. There's going to be something here that is not mentioned, I'm assuming, by the Ukrainians. The enemy continues to suffer losses. In the village of Kalanchka, Kherson region, the invaders turned the central district hospital into a military hospital and brought 36 eliminated and 18 wounded Russian servicemen there. So we have this little thing here in Sevastopol. There was a drone attack by the Ukrainians that the Russians claim they destroyed. Let's see what they're saying here. Sevastopol governor reported that Russian air defense shot down a Ukraine drone near the Balaklava thermal power plant. The station was not damaged and is operating normally. Now here in Sevastopol area is where the Russian Black Sea Fleet is docked, and they have submarines and military infrastructure. This is where they want to hit it, the Ukrainians. Now there were some explosions. As I said, Ukrainians say, oh, we hit something. The Russians said no, they tried to hit a thermal power plant. Now that's a civilian infrastructure, right? Is that what the Russians are hitting in Ukraine? Now the Ukrainians return the favor. But on the other hand, if you call your enemy evil for hitting something that you call it civilian infrastructure, then what you do, if you do the same thing, it also should be called evil. I mean, I always give you this kind of examples where let's if I commit a crime, if I rob someone and someone robs me, it should be called robbery on both instances. I shouldn't call it, oh, that's robbery right here, but when I do it, it's not robbery. It's not the same thing. But that's the way it goes in a war. People lie in general, and in particular during the wars. So this is the update coming from both sides at the end of the day. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.